What's going on, y'all? We got another video here. This one is coming from Remy Renee. It's called Moms Can't Cash Out Anymore. Divorce Rates Crash. Lawyers are panicking. I'll put the link in the description. Let's listen to it.
Divorces in Kentucky just collapsed by 25%. Not because couples suddenly found love again, but because the cash out game is over. For decades, divorce was treated like a jackpot. Mom walks away with the kids. Mom walks away with the check. And dad? He's reduced to a weekend visitor and a paycheck.
One state just nuked its divorce rates by doing one rare thing that the rest of America would never dare.
And there is a real danger that the divorce rate is going down because it's harder for women to leave.
If I have my child half the time, why am I paying full support? Like I'm not even around. I'm feeding them, clothing them, taking them to school, wiping their tears, just like she is.
I mean, it's a cash game for a lot of these women. We all know that. I'm on child support. I recently just got off of child support, but I can tell you from experience that this is a cash game for a lot of these women. Sometimes these men, let's say for me, for instance, it was a point where I was trying to get total and full custody of my daughter. I was even telling her, look, if I get full custody of my daughter, or if you just let me have her because her situation was kind of in a bad point in her life, I was like, I'll still give you child support. Just let my daughter stay with me, X, Y, and Z, all of the other reasons and whatnot. But yeah, this is a cash game for a lot of these women. You heard the guy say that he's feeding his child, clothing his child, and still paying child support. This is how it goes. And these women, they know the game and they understand it. Even a lot of them plot to use the system so they can gain an upper hand as far as them having a job and then having a child so they can get benefits from the state for their child by having a man on child support. Because in the state of Texas, if you're on child support, then, the state will pay for the insurance and things like that. Through the father paying the child support, they taking out portions of that. But in a sense, the mom doesn't have to worry about that. So she can basically do anything she wants. She can get food stamps and all of these other government programs.
But somehow only I have to pay up. This system don't reward fatherhood. It punishes it.
Kentucky flipped the script. They became the first state in America to pass a law making 50-50 custody the default. And the moment that happened, something incredible and honestly terrifying for some people was exposed. When women realized they could no longer cash out through the courts, divorce filing dropped overnight. A full quarter fewer divorces in one state compared to just 18% nationwide. Men call it fairness. Women's group, they call it dangerous.
Yeah, they call it dangerous because they're not incentivized anymore to get divorces. See, once the state starts incentivizing these women to get divorces and coming up with things like no-fault divorce, it was easy for them to just make up any reason to get out of the relationship, get out of the marriage, and still get spousal support or, something out of the relationship as far as a 50-50 relationship, anything. They don't care. See, and that 50-50 thing, when people get a divorce, that was always funny to me because it's like you'll hear women saying that they don't want to go 50-50 on a relationship. They don't want to pay half of the bills. They don't want to pay this and they don't want to do that. They only want to be responsible for one thing, and that's the children or taking care of themselves only. Right. But once they get a divorce, now they want half of everything. They feel like they're entitled to a car, a house, 401k, all of this different stuff. Like, how can you feel entitled to half of someone's 401k? And they do. And the state will actually, in these 50-50 states will actually give these women half of a man's 401k.
And that clash right there between fairness and fear is why this story is exploding.
There are reports coming out of Kentucky that the divorce rate has completely plummeted. 25%. It's gone down 25%. Like, that's significant. When the divorce rate nationally rests, I don't know, I think a little bit above 50%, to have it drop 25% in one state means to pay attention. It's a reason to pay attention.
And here's the kicker. The money numbers prove it. Before this law, a dad making $4,000 a month would be forced to hand over nearly $10,000 a year in child support. After the new law, that drops to maybe $200 a month, sometimes zero. We're talking about a $7,500 swing in every year. Plus, something even bigger. half of his child's life back. I'll break down that math in just a moment. But first, let's talk about why this single change sent shockwaves through the divorce industry. Because let's be real, if divorce filing dropped by 25% the second the financial jackpot disappeared, what does that tell you? For years, men have been told, no, it's not about the money. Women just aren't happy. But the data speaks louder than the excuses.
We didn't even need data to know this. Like, if you're a man and you've been in a relationship with a woman, or if you're a guy who's been divorced, or if you're one of these men like me who has been on child support, then you know this is a cash game for these women. Every time they do something, the exit strategy is to leave with something. And for the most part, the state has afforded them the opportunity to leave with something. Now, as a man, you don't get anything. Man, you could be on your last leg, you could be on your deathbed, yeah, and they won't even give you food stamps. I'm in the state of Texas, they won't even give you food stamps. If you're a man, you can forget about any type of assistance if you just need it for a month or two while you're trying to get back on your feet. You can forget it. They ain't giving it to you. Now, if you're a woman and you fall on hard times, no matter, they'll give it to you for months and maybe even years if you just for that small period of time that you fell on hard times. They'll never question you. You can keep reapplying and they'll just let you have everything you want. Housing, food stamps, medical assistance, anything.
As soon as the reward for leaving was gone, so was the rush to file divorce. And that's why this law is stirring up a storm. Fathers say it's justice. Critics say it's a trap. Women's groups are arguing that it locks moms in marriages and puts kids at risk. But let's look at the bigger picture. Florida, Arkansas, West Virginia, Missouri, they've already filed Kentucky's lead. And right now, over 20 more states are considering it. This isn't just about Kentucky. This is the beginning of the end for the divorce cash-out system.
Yes, and they trying to, in a sense, resurrect marriages, resurrect people getting back together because the birth rates are declining and other issues like that. You know, you got the Democrats that's trying to import new people, import a new population into the country because of the declining birth rates. Not only with that, they're trying to import a new voting block, but all of these things that they're doing are, you know, to better their or push their agenda, you know what I say. But it's funny how one side of the aisle has always pushed people to get abortions, to push women to be feminists and get divorces and live your own life and don't worry about men. And now this country has had a problem with that because they've seen the negative effects of it, and we're reaping the benefits of these negative effects. So now they're trying to make a correction. In my opinion, it's almost too late because what we've done to society is made men think that all women are bad and made women think that there are no good men out there and they only have one benefit to them, and that's to provide financial status or financials to them.
The critics say this law puts women and children in danger. But when you actually look at the facts and when you see how much the system was really built on men's wallet, you'll understand why this law isn't just saving families. It's exposing the truth about modern divorce.
I don't think it's necessary. We split her 50-50. She's at my house just as much. She's with me just as much, if not more.
Your Honor, I would say that's probably an argument for her to pay me. If we're splitting 50-50, I shouldn't have to pay all of it.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. So you kind of like told on yourself. So you ready to move forward with the numbers?
Sure.
Okay, well, let's go ahead.
She wasn't too happy about that. You see how it is? This is what equality gets you as a woman. We need more instances like this to happen to women so they can, this is what you asked for. You wanted equality, this is equality. If the man has to pay half, you have to pay half. If divorces have to, you know, they've been going one way, no, they need to go both ways. A woman can suffer just the same amount of consequences as a man can suffer in a divorce. This is what needs to happen. This is what should have been happening for a while now, so that women can know this is what you wanted. So live with it.
Go ahead and get ready with the numbers. So it looks like you make, like I said, $100,000 a year. Do you work overtime, or is that regularly what you make?
No, I work overtime. But
Okay. And does that include overtime?
Yes, ma'am. It's a salaried position, so it's just straight up.
All right. Let's put some real numbers on this because the math is what makes it undeniable. Before Kentucky passed the 50-50, the typical story looked like this. Dad makes about $4,000 net income. Mom gets the kids 80% of the time. Dad gets every other weekend and maybe one dinner during the week. Under those guidelines, child support lands around 20% of his income. That's about $800 a month, nearly $10,000 a year, gone. And remember, that's on top of insurance, school costs, and extras he still has to cover.
Exactly. I was paying child support, seeing my child every other weekend, which wasn't even a full weekend, let's be honest, because I maybe had to go to work Monday, so I had to take the child home early so I could get some rest or whatever. And then, I'm paying, like she said, the insurance, other expenses. She may say, oh, your daughter needs this, she needs some shoes, she needs some clothes. And as a man, you're not really tripping even though you're paying child support. Now, I'm not the only one. Other men would like this as well. You're paying child support, but if they say that your child needs something, you're not going to deny them. I've heard cases where some men like, I'm paying you child support, I'm not doing this. And I get that as well. I do, because some women abuse this stuff. But, man, you sit up here and you're paying this stuff and you're only seeing your child not even half of the time, but they calling it 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's not even close to being 50-50. But that's what they said it was. Every other weekend is not 50-50. That's like 2 days out the month. I won't even say 4. Like I said, it's the Sunday is not even a full day.
Now, after 2018 with 50-50 custody as a default, same dad, same income, but now he has his kids half the time, which means child support gets offset. Instead of $800 a month, he might pay maybe $200 to $300 a month. In some cases, if mom makes close to the same amount, he pays nothing, zero. That's not just $7,500 a year staying in his pocket. That's also half of his child's life back. He's not just a paycheck anymore. He's a parent again. And this is where things get heated. Because if you think men celebrated, you're right. But women's groups, they lost their minds. They say this law traps women in bad marriages and puts kids in danger.
If it traps them in bad marriages, don't they think that it would trap men in bad marriages? Don't they think that this would be the same effect on men as it has on women? Men have been getting involved in bad marriages for the longest. But these women and these feminist groups, they don't care. But now that the shoe is on the other foot and they have to experience some of the same things that men have to experience, they just simply don't like it. They simply don't like it and they simply can't handle it. Which is why all of these things need to happen and continue to happen. The courts and the government has to fix this issue if they want us to get back on track with marriages and having nuclear families. If they don't, we just gonna keep going down this dark path.
But when you actually look at what people on the ground are saying, the story looks very different. Top male comment: if divorces drop by 20%, the second child support dries up. That proves it was never about happiness. It was about the money. Another father says, for once, courts don't see me as just a wallet. This is the first time in decades I feel like an equal parent. A mom's comment: I'm in a Kentucky mom group and women are literally deciding whether to leave their husbands based off of this law. It's hard for them now. Someone responds to, hard for them? You mean hard because they can't cash out anymore. This isn't trapping women. It's finally equality. This is what makes this law explosive for men.
Exactly. You heard the comments that she was reading about the women. They upset, talking about they trapped. Why is it fair for one side to just totally wreck a man and they can just get away clean like a thief in the night? But the moment that it's proposed that some of these same things can go both ways, they're debating whether they should leave their husbands, if they should stay in these marriages, which alone lets you that they have no respect for these men and they don't care about the relationships and they don't care about them at all. It's always been about the money. This is what men have been saying. It's always been about the money. No wonder why dudes are not getting into relationships. No wonder why men aren't proposing to women. No wonder why men aren't approaching women and trying to get a number or just trying to simply take them out on a date. Because it doesn't benefit us. Nothing. There's nothing to incentivize us to do that anymore. Why would anybody sign up for a bad business decision that's going to leave you ruined? Even if it is for one night. Nobody in their right mind would do anything that doesn't benefit them, not even in the slightest. Even love benefits you because you get something that's reciprocated towards you. But this isn't even about love. I mean, if I just wanted to be with a woman and if it's all about money, I could easily just go take my money and go find some chick and give her some money and have sex with her, do whatever it is that I wanted to do and go on about my business. I don't need to. Why would I get married and lock myself into where I have to give you a car, a house, or some money when I could just simply, if I'm going to pay, I could just simply just go find somebody and just give them the money and wipe my hands with them and go back to the house, watch TV, play the game, hang out with some friends. It just doesn't make any sense. But that's the end of the video that I wanted to show you. The video is longer than that. I'll link the video in the description in the comments. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I appreciate y'all watching the Rod Reacts channel, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.